Do you remember seeing your name on a Coke bottle? Well, let me tell you a story. In 2011, Coca-Cola faced a problem that even the world's biggest brand couldn't escape. In Australia, 50% of teens and young adults hadn't enjoyed a Coke in months, and for a brand like Coca-Cola, that's a major problem. So what did they do?
You may have seen the commercials.
Okay, share a Coke, share some love. They used that Share a Coke campaign to share their news with the world.
Coca-Cola created one of the most ingenious marketing campaigns of the decade.
One headline I read recently that sparked my interest: Coca-Cola is trying really hard not to be a soda company. True?
We're trying to be more than a soda company.
But to really understand what happened, we need to rewind a bit.
Coke's earnings fizzle. Investors were disappointed with Coke's quarterly results out this morning.
Soda consumption is slowing.
People are drinking a whole lot less of it.
Coke is experiencing a challenging macroeconomic environment.
Revenue for the quarter fell short of expectations as consumers across the globe drank less soda.
By the early 2010, Coca-Cola's sales were fizzling out, particularly in Australia, where young adults weren't drinking Coke because, well, they thought it was outdated. Coke wasn't connecting with this crucial demographic, and the company needed to figure out why. Here's a stat for you. 33.3% of businesses rarely or never create customer personas to drive their decisions. This means a lot of brands aren't fully understanding what their audience actually wants, and Coke was no exception. So in the winter of 2011, Coca-Cola teamed up with the ad agency Ogilvy in Sydney, Australia, to launch a bold new initiative, something they called Project Connect. The goal? Reignite the spark between Coke and Australia's young adults. Increase profits, yes, but more importantly, rebuild an emotional connection with their audience. Ogilvy's idea? Simple. Print people's names on Coke bottles. Coca-Cola executives were immediately thrilled by it. But while the concept sounded easy, executing it, not so much.
She knew we would have trademark issues. At least 20 late night hours with Atlanta.
4,000 hours of talking to Coca-Cola Amatil stakeholders individually.
This wasn't just slapping some names on a bottle and calling it a day. This was a massive logistical challenge.
4 weeks to find a machine that could print the names on the can.
Every single word reviewed and approved by senior management.
And the cherry on top? They had to design a brand new font, specifically for this campaign. They called it the U font, because this campaign was all about you. When Share a Coke launched in 2011, Coca-Cola printed 150 of the most common names in Australia on their bottles. The idea was brilliant. Even though those 150 names only represented about 42% of the population, the real magic happened when people started sharing. You might not find your name, but maybe you'd find a friend's name, and that created a reason to buy Coke, not just for yourself, but for others. The campaign turned a simple soda purchase into a treasure hunt. It didn't take long for people to flood social media with pictures of their Coke bottles. Within the first 6 months, Coca-Cola saw a massive 870% increase in Facebook traffic in Australia, with over 500,000 posts using hashtags like #ShareACoke. Suddenly, drinking Coke wasn't just about quenching thirst. It was about finding your name, connecting with friends, and sharing the moment. This campaign didn't just boost Coke's presence on social media, it impacted the bottom line. In Australia, Coke's market share increased by 4%, and among young adults, consumption jumped by 7%. It wasn't long before Coca-Cola realised they had struck gold. The Share a Coke campaign quickly expanded to New Zealand, China, and eventually over 80 countries. In the US, they even ramped it up, printing over 250 names on bottles and creating an online platform where people could order custom names. This simple concept reversed 11 years of decline for Coca-Cola in the US, boosting its sales to 2%. But here's the real takeaway. The Share a Coke campaign wasn't just about printing names on bottles. It was about understanding what people wanted, personalization, connection, and a reason to share an experience. Coca-Cola went from being seen as outdated to becoming part of the cultural conversation again. This is the power of knowing your audience. When brands take the time to understand their customers, when they focus on what people actually want, magic happens. So next time you think about skipping those customer personas or ignoring the need for personalization, just remember, a little bit of personal touch can transform a brand, even one as big as Coca-Cola. Let me know in the comments what you think about this campaign, and if you did enjoy this video, consider subscribing for more videos about the marketing and branding around us.